Hi, kamusta sa mga learners, kaibigans, kapatids, kahit saan kayo sa mundo? I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm Pinky Poe, and I'm one of the founders of KLIKme. I'm also a co-founder of GKONOMICS, and I also have a social enterprise na i-introduce ko mamaya. I also teach at the Ateneo at the Graduate School of Business. I teach entrepreneurial finance, and I generally do workshops and webinars sa social enterprise world. So I'm sure everybody has talked to you about the heart behind the work. So I'm here to talk to you about the science and the business behind the work. Para na may facts and data tayo to support what we do. So ang sabi ni Rose sa akin is to introduce what is social business. So, ang daming definitions ng social enterprise, iba-iba. So I'm just here to shed light on understanding what is social enterprise. And I really like to think of it as a mindset preparation in designing businesses for good. So, ang unang tanong lagi, first question is always, is it non-profit? Is it for profit? And a lot of people have misconceptions. If it's for profit, it's not a social enterprise. It can be both. It can be for profit and it can be a non-profit. It just has to do a social good, and it has to have been set up primarily to do social good. So, hindi siya CSR na like, oh, I'm doing well in my business and so I'll help. No, the purpose of setting up is to address a problem that is there that no one is addressing. So how did the definitions of social enterprise evolve? It started from dati talaga, just non-profit. Social enterprises were just non-profits. To now, they're actually big, viable, profitable enterprises solving a social problem. And it started, a lot of, in different ways, to businesses. A lot of them are searching for social relevance. A lot of them, lalo na if they're told or they believe or they think that a lot of the problems happening, kasama sila sa nag-cause ng problem na yon, whether it's climate or diseases or pollution. And therefore, they want to find greater social relevance and contribute to the solutions to these problems. Meron din, for NGOs naman, they're looking at social enterprise kasi nagkaka-donor fatigue na. People don't like companies or people who have some wealth to share, don't want to just keep giving and giving. They want to give to something that has sustainability in the plan. And that's how it is now for NGOs. Because really of donor fatigue. Also, in the end, it's really kasi all about sustainability. Whether you're a corporation looking to fund one, or you're an entrepreneur looking to start one, or you're an NGO looking to pivot to a social enterprise, you are looking for sustainability. And normally, sustainability would really be in the intersection between people, planet, and profit. One that benefits all three is where you can find sustainability. So, just some stats in the Philippines. 99.5% of all businesses are medium, small, and micro. There's only 4,000 large enterprises out of the 1 million registered enterprises. And out of that, most SEs would really be micro and small. And it's a fast-growing sector. In 2007, the estimate was roughly 30,000 SEs. Then in a 2016 study commissioned by the British Council, there's already 164,000 SEs, and it continues to grow. So it's really a good time to be in it, but to succeed, you have to really put the science to the work and really run it as a business with a social mission. Tapos na tayo dun sa all heart but no no science to doing the work, walang process, hindi na. It has to be a combination of business savvy and heart for the mission. So dati, ang social enterprises were mostly cooperatives, really dominated by co-ops. There's still a lot of co-ops now, but the saturation is of MSME, small micro businesses that are being set up by individuals who really want to do business, but want to do business that is able to help other people. So in the Philippines, we started with cooperatives and offshoots of CSR. A company starts a project, that's a corporate social responsibility, which becomes an enterprise and so on. So that's how it started. And then ang dami were microfinance and NGOs that were transforming to SEs because their funders were already saying you have to be sustainable. Funding was drying up. And then, of course, the newly established social enterprises. So in the Philippines, organic ang pag-involve. Parang it wasn't there's an announcement that there'll be a social enterprise. There isn't even a law to cover it. People were already actually doing it without knowing that they were actually social entrepreneurs. There are some people who tell me, no, I'm not a social enterprise. But if I look at their business model, I'm like, you are a social enterprise. You're hiring out of school youth, or you're hiring only nanays from marginalized communities, or you're pricing such that it's more affordable, or you're paying your people way more than minimum wage because you want to help. They act like social enterprises talaga. So parang ganun ang pag-grow, very organic. They were just doing it without being called such, and then the structured ones were really more the co-ops and the NGOs. And then a lot of businesses now, especially those being started by the young, are really operating on the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. So the definitions of social enterprise, there isn't one definition of it. Like you can't look it up and say, oh, this is what it is. Because there are some big practitioners, like let's say even Grameen, who would say it has to be nonprofit. Or there are some who say it has to be for profit. So if you look at all these definitions of social enterprise, there's several, right? There's one from the British Council, there's Philsen, there's so many research. And one thing they have in common is that you will always see social and environmental needs, social mission, there's development, there's addressing social problems, community upliftment, social mission driven, sustainable sources of income. So whatever definitions people come up with, and there's no one final one, these are what's common about social enterprises, that they serve the communities where they operate, they uplift people beyond just transactional, they're transformational, they solve a social problem, and they're sustainable. It's not a programa lang na donation or charity. And some stats on SEs more than tripled in the last decade, mostly led by 35 to 45-year-olds, and more than half of the jobs created in the past year by SEs benefited women and are more likely to be led by women also. What I've also noticed in terms of success factors, ang laki ng bagay when there's like an experienced person helping the social enterprise. Like even if they're started by young people, kung meron silang mentor na tumutulong talaga sa kanila, the chances of success just become bigger. Because it's not a good statistic, but only 1 out of 10 businesses survive. Whether it's social or not, 1 out of 10 survive. And kung mahirap na yung normal business, mas mahirap pa yung social, because we have that additional bottom line of really taking care of people and planet. So the chances of success are lower, pero offset talaga siya by passion of the people doing it. And I really think I would really reiterate that it helps when there is a mentor who's more experienced in business. So the economic impact, just to show you that this is not small, what the world that we're trying to operate in. 5% of new jobs And 30% of the 34% in job growth, 5% was due to SEs, benefiting 22,000 individuals. And each of those individuals, syempre, has a whole family, has a community around them. So pretty much half the country's poor is reached by social enterprises. And the benefits are to multiple groups, from women to youth to persons with different abilities, to children, disaster areas, out of school youth. Talagang social enterprises reach a wide range of beneficiaries. And then the sources of finance, though I won't even go into it one by one. All I'll say is, from what I've seen in the years that I've been doing this, people will always say, my biggest problem, my biggest issue is financing, capital. I'm telling you, it's not. What we're lacking are good ideas. Where there is a good idea and there is an execution plan, that well thought of plan, there is money. There are people who are even asking me, where can I put $1 million? And like, kung 1 million pesos gusto mo, marami, may capacity to take it in. Pero $1 million, walang capacity to absorb. And they don't want it for a donation. They want it to invest in an enterprise that works. So it's really lack of good ideas with business-like execution. It's not capital that's lacking. So I just really want to emphasize that. Kasi if you guys come up with a good idea and the right team to execute it, nahahanapan ng pera. Hindi yun ang problema. So here are more or less like the factors for success and failure. 10% lang, sabi ko nga kanina, 1 out of 10 only will succeed. So you want to increase your chances of success by involving those with corporate experience, and there's mentoring of young SEs na full of passion but very little work experience. And also another factor I've seen, when the board of directors or the leadership team is all the founders lang, wala siyang somebody experienced or really well entrenched in the industry that they're in, who's guiding, who's mentoring, or somebody they feel accountable to, na kailangan managot doon sa board na yon, then the chances for success are lower. The more you're able to bring in an advisory board or independent directors who will not just tell you what you want to hear, but will tell you the truth, the higher the chances of success. And also, there's still no law. There's no public infrastructure that's really for SEs. So we're really relying on our own network of incubators, accelerators, mentoring, and that's why this is so important. Kasi dito kaya may kaibigans, may kapatids, may mentors na magtutulungan, kasi there's no like a structure for it in the country yet. The laws have not kept up with what's been happening in actual businesses where SEs are growing. There's also really, there are funds, and then there are people looking for funds, pero parang there's no one big ecosystem that ties it all together. There's a lot of information disconnect. So parang we operate in different silos. We're not in one right now that shows all of this. So the more we enter the SE world and go into incubators and accelerators and funders, and with the right mentors, you will find those, it increases the chances also of success of an SE. So like I work with incubators like Exchange, Vilgrow, PhilDev, Endeavor. Ang dami. Huwag kayong matakot. There's so much support. But come up with a good idea. And a good idea means there's a market and also and a problem you're solving. And then there's really a lot of help that will come your way. So I'll just give like a few examples para makita nyo na hindi ang social enterprise parang maliit lang. So Caritas Segunda Mana is one. It's very unique in the sense na so people donate secondhand stuff to Caritas Segunda Mana. And then, Caritas now, dati ukay-ukay lang to lahat. Lahat, ukay-ukay lang. Isang presyo, paswerte ka kung makakuha na maganda or pangit yung makuha mo. Pareho lang yan silang lahat, 50 pesos. Now, no, they really run it as an enterprise. They segregate, they price it differently. Donations that are coming from, let's say, Rustans or SM, where it's a beautiful item, no damage. The only damage is in the box, but you cannot sell it anymore as a luxury item pag yung box sira. So, it's donated to Caritas Segunda Mana, and instead of just nakatambak with the ukay-ukay like the rest, it's now segregated. So there's a Segunda Mana Alta, Segunda Mana Regular, and then they even pack into parang ukay-ukay sacks and sell those to street people at like 80 pesos lang. Tapos kaya nung homeless ibenta na yung total niya is, let's say, 400 pesos. So sila kumikita din. And then it funds scholars. More than 5,000 scholars na ang pinapaaral ng Caritas Segunda Mana as of now. Kasi I had to update this. No? So yearly gross revenue, umabot na siya ng 70 million in 2019. So hindi maliit ang SE, and SE can be big, and they have already, parang at the time, you know, he was my classmate in my master's program. Every month nagbubukas ng bagong branch. They have expos, ang dami. So it's really an enterprise in terms of logistics, finance, and all, but with a social mission. They're on their 11th year, 12th year na siguro by now. And then there's another, like Happy Helpers. They provide cleaning and disinfection services, and they hire nanays from the community. They work with nanays from the communities of GK Taguig. And now they've opened a branch in Quezon City, working with mothers in communities being supported by Ateneo. And iba yung kanyang, the way, hinahire niya, kumbaga, hindi yung experience, hinahire niya yung hirap makakuha ng trabaho, and they help them. So that's what makes it a social enterprise. But it's tough because her training costs are double or triple the normal cleaning companies who hire experienced people, and they have to compete in the market at the same pricing levels. So iba yung challenge niya, pero she really believes in the mission. Or two of them, the two co-founders, Maan and Joe, really believe in the mission, and therefore the social mission of really transforming the lives of these nanays. So that's another example. It's a service naman, a social enterprise. Their impact, you know, every year it grows, and even during the pandemic, they really kept the women employed, and the training continued. So the women from no skills to skills that make them hireable. And another example would be like Palamigan. Ito naman, may technology siya. So they have, he found a way to make ice very quickly without electricity. So imagine yung fishing communities, let's say na yung mangingisda, the fisherman has to sell. Mababa na lang para maubos na kasi wala silang freezer, wala silang kuryente. So natitake advantage ng mga middlemen. Bibili na lang ng pamura. Eh, mula nung meron siya nitong ice machine na tinutulungan din ng i-fund ng mga microcredit companies, they can now do other produce also, or they don't have to sell at the lowest prices kasi they're able to freeze and keep it. And then, hindi lang fishermen, meron din mga towns na meron ng ice candy or mga sari-sari stores na they can expand what they're selling because they have the ice boxes of Palamigan. So that's another example. So at the end, it's really about making all these that matter to us. You know, the heart for the work, with the science, with business discipline to make it sustainable. So at the end, if you might ask me, so how do I know it's the right business? So it's something that should be able to have these three components. And kung saan siya mag-intersect. First, you have to have competence in that business that you're going to do. You or the team that you put together. And you you have to be passionate about it. Kasi if not, it's tough. You'll be waking up to work and dragging your feet rather than being so excited. So where your passion and your competence, pero kulang yan. Kasi ngayon, ang dami nagsistart ng business sa ganun lang. Excited ako dito. Then passion and competence, oops, wala palang market. Ipipilit pa nila lahat, bumili ng bag nila. It has to be for your passion, your competence, and the market need. Meaning, there's a need that's unmet. May need na kulang ang nagsusupply. Where you find that, you'll have a viable business. So I'll just reiterate again, enterprise is the noun. Social is the adjective kasi you have to run it like a business enterprise talaga with a mission. Hindi siya pwedeng dahil may social good, maaawa na lang lahat sa'yo, bibili ng isang piraso, or itatry ang service mo. Minsan, di na babalik. Hindi. Kailangan talaga honest to goodness, well-run business with a social mission. So if I may just share a little, my social enterprise that I started in 2017, it's an accounting firm serving the development sector. So we provide accounting services, tax services, business processes improvements for social enterprises. It was really a need that came up kasi I didn't even want to do any work related to accounting, even if I'm a CPA. But there was no accounting firm that understood the needs of social enterprises. Lahat na parang, tita, hindi kami naiintindihan. Hindi nila naintindihan na walang resibong mabibigay si Nanay During doon kasi doon kami bumili ng aming pagkain na para sa training and yung mga ganon. So, and a lot of entrepreneurs were starting na they didn't understand the taxation, they didn't understand compliance, nag-SEC sila, nag-register, excited silang nag-register, tapos hindi nila alam na kailangan pala within 30 days, BIR registered na, tapos every month may filing, so hindi sila nakapag-file, then may penalties na, lalapit na sila sa amin, ang laki-laki na ng penalties, or they come to me and say, I'm running out of cash and I don't know what to do. So that's the reason I set this up. So with that mission really of financial literacy for SEs. And the past 5 years, we've worked with so many SEs, incubators, giving financial technical assistance, webinars, workshops, even US-based, like Grameen USA is a client, and also because we understand the Philippine development sector really and its needs in terms of finance. We have huge plans for growth and expanding in the region and coming up with a tech product that will really serve needs na kahit nasa bundok ang SE, kaya niyang iscan at ipadala at magkakaroon siya ng financial statements. This is our team that's very passionately committed to the SE world because we really believe that there's a need, there's a mission, it matched with our competence, and passion ko, hindi man accounting talaga, naging passion ko ang accounting because ang passion ko talaga was social enterprise. Pero yung competence ko, nasa finance and accounting, and there was a need for it. So nagsama, competence, passion, and market. There you go. So, I just want to, you will still be hearing examples and sharing. So I just want to end by saying, don't be afraid. There's a lot of help, but look for that need that is unserved or underserved that matches your passion and your competence. Come up with a great idea, put together the team that can execute it well, and we're here to help you. Good luck in everything that you're going to do, and I'm always here for questions and for mentoring and whatever you need to know, and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much. Bye.